Hello, hello, one and all. Brandon Carey is here once again, and my buddy Andre is not. He is doing something that needs his attention, something a little urgent. He's fine, but he is occupied. So for now, we will instead stream a game that I have been interested in doing for this Let's Play channel for a while now. I just never got around to doing it. This is the beginner's guide. And if you've not heard of this game before, I would not be surprised. But this game was made by Davey Wreden, who you might know as the maker of the Stanley Parable and most recently Wanderstop, which are both very excellent video games. And all very different video games. But the reason you wouldn't have heard of this one is that it came out about a week before or a week after, but roughly the same time as a small, really obscure game, you probably never heard of it, called Undertale. And because that game is the most popular game for Gen Z ever made, ever, aside from Roblox. This game was kind of relegated to absolute obscurity. Now, I hear the question in the chat, is a story-based game, and the answer is kind of. You will see what I mean when we get to it. And actually, let's just get to it. Audio is on. We did some calibrations before the stream started, so we're all good on that front.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Wreden. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts...
So this is the basic premise of the Beginner's Guide. This is Davey Wreden going through the games developed by his friend named Coda. That is, yes, stream of conscious games is a good way of describing it. And as to your point earlier, I know I am a millennial, But I know a lot of people who are Gen Z. And I know a lot of Undertale fans. I know a lot of Deltarune fans as well. I like those games a lot. But I really hate their fans. I really don't like their fan base. If you're a Undertale fan, I think you're a lovely person, but don't ever talk to me about Undertale ever. I don't want to hear it. Kind of the same for Deltarune, although like I am waiting for Deltarune to I'm waiting for Deltarune to finish up before I play it. I've done the first 2 episodes. I had not played the third or fourth, and frankly, like the reason being is that I don't want to wait a year between drops to have to replay the entire fucking game to understand what's going on, because I'm going to have to replay the entire game at that point because I'll have forgotten what's happened in the time since. But yeah, yeah, I know children who play Roblox. I am a bit too old for Roblox. Yeah, like it does feel like Deltarune's in an early access state to some degree, even though like those episodes are finished. But this is the premise of the beginner's guide. We are kind of exploring how a game designer named Coda kind of matured as they kept building more and more games, with David as our narrator and as Coda's friend.
It's making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date
still
that
looking at that, Davey.
This first one was made in November 2008.
Yeah, like this is the work of an artist whose work has never been truly completed, 100%. But you also should notice that like these games were made from 2000 to 2011. That sounds like a very long time, because that was 15 years ago. But in case you all forgot, Undertale is like a decade old at this point. Let me double check the actual release date of Undertale while just make sure that my information is correct. September 2015. So, while 2011 seems like a very long time for us, about 15 years. In reality, like, when this game was released, it would have been about 3 or 4, which is still a long time, but not the astronomically long time that it feels like now. Dog, the fact that Final Fantasy X is a 20 almost 25-year-old game sends me sometimes. Yeah, like, so, like, if you ignore the fact that it's been a decade since this game came out, treat this as if, like, Coda, instead of being on sabbatical for a decade, was only on sabbatical for, like 4 or 5 years. And that's kind of the attitude that we will approach this from, since this would have been roughly the time frame for this project.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
I in case you don't know, I cannot. Oh, there is a gunshot. There is a gun movement. Playing some Halo. Oh, the gun is broken. I shot all the bullets. Oops. It's fine though. I don't see any enemies. It looks like.
Security hull breached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
I want to call attention to the fact that Davey kind of admits that it is impossible to understand why Coda stopped making this game. He understands that, like, to some degree, we will never really know why this game never got fully fleshed out. But he has nonetheless decided to take it as gospel. This is the intended text. Because to do otherwise would be to kind of, I'm trying to figure out a good way to phrase this. Kind of tear down the illusion that there may be no meaning to this game whatsoever. That this was just like a project that was spun up, tested for a bit, and abandoned because it didn't spark joy the way that the Toad intended it to. There's an infinite number of reasons why a developer might choose to abandon a project. But Davies assumed that maybe this is just the way it was intended to be. This unfinished game.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
I want to see that in your head for the moment.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Also, like, another one of those things where if he did not point that out, I might not have even looked. Truth be told. I might have ignored, I'd have not have seen that platform down there. So we are touring this place.
Apparently the space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
But that's not your call, though. That's not your call. If I want to, like, do the labyrinth, I should be able to do the labyrinth.
Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that, too.
Yeah. Okay. I actually don't want to solve the labyrinth. But I did just want to, like, fight back a little bit.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Mm-hmm. The Whisper machine.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper machine. disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
No. Oh. Well, I don't want to give myself. Wait, what?
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
That is a good question, Jacob. If he thinks that this is worth showing, why did he choose to cut the labyrinth? That's a very good question. It's a very good question. Why did he? Why did he do that? That is a question you should keep in the back of your mind as we continue to playing this game.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this
Probably.
level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Alright, let's see what the bug looks like. Oh look, it's the
The
labyrinth.
beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but...
So, again, he says Coda identified something here, but he says he doesn't know what Coda is thinking.
What's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Look at this. Looks like a fucking
Yep. In this game, you can only walk
Okay.
backwards.
The past was behind her. Right. Coda. Oh.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative.
But the
It
future
is
could
less
not be
advanced
seen.
than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Why does the future keep changing? This is actually a pretty rad concept, I'm not gonna lie. Like a game where you have to walk backwards. I wonder what you could do mechanically with something like that. And when she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. This is like the fucking Desmond section in Assassin's Creed Revelations. Future is always behind her. How will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Also, consider that as a player, I am not given the room to interpret what I am seeing in this game. I did not get the chance to even speculate on what Coda might have been trying to say with this game. But Davey has already wrested that interpretation from me and filled that in for himself. Keep that in the back of your mind. That we are going somewhere with this. You are now entering. I think it is obvious to point out that coda is a musical term meaning to conclude or definitive end. Spoilers!
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Nonsense.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
In nearly every direction.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Real talk, I am also like that, though. There is a part of me that when I have finished a piece of work, it is dead to me. It is like, no, this is the finished work. That is how it is. It's done. Because if I give myself a chance to go back and revise it, I will never, ever stop. So I am like Coda in that sense, where if I have a work that is finished, it might as well cease to exist. Maybe, if someone points out a typo, I'll fix it. But I am abso-fucking-lutely not making huge edits. Yeah. Thank you for the appreciating of the wordplay. Oh, it moves slower as we keep going.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press the use key on your gamepad, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
But again, that's not the game then. If you're modifying the game to say skip to the end, that's not the game. The game is climbing these stairs. At that point, you're not playing the game. You're not experiencing the art that's intended to be shown. So I am not going to hit the use key, Davey Reedon. We're going to climb this place slowly to experience the art for what it's supposed to be. And kind of abbreviate in this. What does this mean to have your progress slowed as you reach the top? This could be like a metaphor for the coding process or the creative process, where the foundation is fundamentally easier at the beginning. But as you start climbing and get close to the end, it gets harder and harder and harder to climb. That could be what this metaphor means. It could be a number of things, but that's what I choose to interpret it as. As this is what it's like to create something from whole cloth. Really, really easy at first. But then adding that final polish, as most people know, is like the bulk of the work. It's the most time-intensive task. See, now we're getting really slow to a crawl. Because that process is just that much slower. It's so much harder to climb. And I could hit that use button. I could hit it right now if I wanted to. But I'm not going to. We're going to just enjoy the act of creation. The act of playing a video game. Of understanding. Or at least trying to understand what this could mean. what this might mean. Because I've never met Coda. I don't know him. For all I know, this is his, like, metaphor for cooking cupcakes. Getting so much slower as we climb those steps. Hear the rustling of the wind in the background. It's right there. The door is almost open for us. What is inside this room? And you are right to be suspicious. That's all I will say on that front. You are right to have... Alright, oh, it's just a room. There's nothing here. There is no jump scare, thankfully. There is no, like, jump scare. This game is not like that, thankfully. It's just a room. You know, I will say, thankfully, the Stanley Parable also does not do jump scares in it. Oh, what does... Look at this deluge of loose thoughts.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours. A game you click items
Coda would
like
often tell me that he didn't mind
quits
if
when you
people
click them
thought
all.
of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Ready, set, fish. Again, and also, again, just keep in mind that that's Davey there filling in their interpretations, whereas I might disagree. This next game in Coda's collection. This Coda election.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
What puzzle? Oh.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Okay. That puzzle. I didn't realize that was an actual puzzle. Now, keep in mind, I also have not played this game since 2015, so I am literally going off 10-year-old memories, which might as well not even exist.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press the Use key on your gamepad, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Again, Davey modifying the game code for me. Oh, that's cool. It's a whole, like...
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world.
Hold on. Oh, you can't change the volume per channel. Okay, that's annoying.
Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Maybe, well, I might have had my own interpretation of what this could all mean, but it doesn't matter anymore because Davy's already told me what's supposed to mean to him. He's once again interceded when he shouldn't have. You are now exiting.
So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow.
Does
It
it?
could be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them.
An apt observation, Jacob. We have moved to January 2009. We are moved to a different year. We are now one year.
And once we have, we can step back
into the
and start to
timeline.
understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Now we're in March of 2009.